Hey, welcome to Dave's Imaginations. Today, it's double toil and trouble as we recap both Thursday night, February 24th, and this morning's extra ad hoc episode of Dave's Imagination Presents DQA, Dark Queen Ascension's Adventures in Barovia. As Thursday night, and then Thursday night, a couple of our guys had a lot of time on just two of the guys, and I decided to take them aside and have an extra game this morning, this Saturday, February 26th morning, to let them have some time alone so I didn't have to have the other four people sitting on the sides twiddling their thumbs. So that's what we did. We'll recap both of them today on Dave's Imagination. Stay with me. So yeah, like I said, we had two sessions. We had our normal Thursday night session, and then two of the guys, Wes and Ken, with their characters Oloc and Taw, had their own separate adventure this morning for a couple hours, and we'll go through both of those. So starting with the normal Thursday night game. Let's jump over to Here we have our synopsis. We had an intro recap. We think about the recap of the game. We had ended off with we were in the tavern, and we had Blue Water Inn, and we had the encounter with Strahd, where he invited everyone to the rehearsal dinner and gave them basically just over 24 hours to get their affairs in order, where Strahd expected the party to show up with Irina, and the party has that day to go do their personal quests with things they want to do. We had Mad Mage Mount Baratok for Gloin, and Gloin wanted to get together with the Silver Dragon Argenvostolt. Strider needed to go talk to the druids. Ruckus was going to go talk to the dark elves, and then Irina and Varinka were going to go do some girl shopping, clothes shopping for gowns. As they did that, and all that was ended, and then it was time for Thursday night, and there wasn't much left, and so we started the evening. With Ruckus. As he had started the evening with riding on the back of the carriage with the two people from the Wizard of the Warnings. Gloin had flown off to go recruit druids, but Ruckus was on the back of the cart with these two from Castle Roth. And we started to think about it. Are these two going to be vampire spawn? And we introduced the face chart, and we said not likely. And then we said, well, are these two brothers, sister, and who are these people? And I introduced a couple new tools that I have. As let's see, I brought them up here. So this is the fate chart, and this fate chart, depending on how chaotic the character's life is at the moment, we can roll in a decision chart to see if a question is a yes or no, or extreme yes or extreme no. And if you look at this chart, you can see, let's look at this row right here, and you can say if it's very likely and there's high chaos, apparently, then the outcome is, if it's 0 to 16, it's a certainty yes. If it's 16 to 85, it's just a yes. If it's 85 to 97, it's still a no. And if it's beyond it's 97, then it's an extreme no. And we can take those results to an extreme. So this fate chart's one tool I've been using. Another thing I've been using is this universal NPC emulator. And this is what I did for the girl that was riding on the back of the wagon with Katota, and we rolled on here, and I forget what they put. NPC generator said she was pessimistic, a mercenary, of a comparable power to Ruckus, and embraces force. And so it played her off as someone that appreciates Strahd's iron fist on the land. And so that was kind of fun to do. And then if we jump back, the next thing we did was we did the Gloin and his encounter at Argynvostolt. Yeah. So as Gloin befriends the spider, and they have this grandiose plan that Gloin is gonna hit this mother spider. So Gloin made friends with the silver dragon and said, "Hey, we want to go check out the Ravenloft." And he says, "Yeah, let's wait until night, and until then, maybe you could help me take on this mama spider." And Gloin likes that idea, and he says, "Okay, now you gotta fly around back behind him, and I will come in from the other side, and I'll start hitting him with fireballs. And then once I start doing that, you start attacking it." And they started doing that. Now they kind of discounted the fact that there's a lot of other spiders here, and those spiders, the big spider might have missed with its attack, but the other ones hit Gloin with a web and frustrated him as we kind of butted head a little bit in this encounter. But eventually we got through it, and Gloin hit it after fireball, and then breath weapon after breath weapon as he turned back and forth between his human state and his dragon, as Gloin is secretly also a golden dragon. And but at the very end, the spider, at the same time that Gloin hit him with another round of fiery breath, the spider hit him with his acid attack, his weapon attack, and Gloin fell to the ground on top of the spider, on top of Gloin, and fell unconscious. But to save him was the other dragon, the silver dragon, who pulled him aside and into the silver dragon's room, and gave him a potion of healing, and healed Gloin back up. And we had the reveal that the silver dragon was actually someone they had seen before, the Saved character. And right here we can see that the silver dragon is actually the Saved who they had noticed once before. It's kind of fun to do that type of thing. So with that story line mostly wrapped up, so next week we'll have to resolve them going and scouting out the castle. From there, then we moved on. We moved on to Oloc and Taw, and they came. So Oloc and Taw had just escaped the rats, had come down their staircase, and had come to this door where they revealed an accountant's office. And they snuck through. The door opened, and this accountant knew someone was there and said, "How rude!" And they just kind of went past, and that was kind of funny. And then from there, once they got past that room, they went into the next room, which was the audience hall. Big room with a big throne on it. And the reveal in this room was that there's a secret door to the south, and out walked that Cyrus Bellevue, who was talking to someone and making sure affairs were in order. And when Oloc and Taw went to look out that secret door, they saw a battlement full of skeletons. And then from here, they went down the stairs, and they saw that Cyrus Bellevue talking to three, air quote, cleaning ladies, who were indeed, they were teasingly flirting with Cyrus Bellevue, who eventually shooed them off. And once they shooed them off, those three kicked up their brooms, flew to the ceiling, and started mending the frescoes. And so pretty much affirming that they are indeed witches. Well, they're cleaning ladies that fly in brooms. So if you want to call them witches, that's fine. That's not very nice, but they're cleaning ladies who ride brooms and can magically fix frescoes. they went south, and as they went south, they could hear music, and I had them the mournful, powerful organ music saying bom 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 bom, kind of variations of the wedding song, and they poked their head in there and revealed it was Strahd. Now remember that the Oloc and Taw, they're invisible this whole time, and so we have them making checks every once in a while with stealth with advantage as they sneak around. And as they open the door to where this organ is playing, they look in this great banquet hall, and set up for entertainment. And at the organ, in a cape, is a cape person playing the organ, and it's most certainly Strahd. And Strahd turns around and looks at the door, and they're both kind of freaking out as Taw pulls a cat out of his hat. He has this magical hat of holding that has something like 100 items in it, but he does know there's a cat in it. He pulls a hat out of there, and he pushes the cat in there, and they back away from the door, and thankfully Strahd did not pursue them at that time. And then from there, they went down to, from there we took a break, and from Oloc and Taw, and went to Strider, and we had Strider go and talk to Freyalise. And again, we used my NPC emulator to come up with a personality, and basically the personality said that she was distrustful and didn't really want to send her druids to directly oppose Strahd, but she would support him. And we rolled for the number of druids in the case, and I think it was a lot, 30 I think it was, but those 30 would not openly oppose Strahd. And so we wrapped that up, and then we went back to the castle with Oloc and Taw, and they went to a sub-level that was flooded, and they were both very leery of getting into this water that they couldn't see through. So they went back up. They found this 10 by 10 room with a stick in the middle of it. They went in the room, the door slid closed, and they could get out if they wanted to, but before they did, Taw pulls the lever, and it activates the elevator of death as it thrusts them up and then filled the chamber with gas. Taw passes out. Oloc's still awake, throws Taw over his shoulder, and as he does, the floor of this elevator of death starts rising up to crush him against the ceiling. Taw frantically looks for a door, finds a trapdoor in the ceiling, pulls it open. Above the trapdoor, though, is a carpet, so they have to push their way through the carpet, and lo and behold, that carpet was a rug of smothering. So then they had to battle this rug of smothering, and they eventually do, and they shake it free where we left that night, and they defeated it. And then they look to their left, look behind Oloc, and there's a picture of Strahd, a creepy picture of Strahd staring over them. And so that's where we ended our night for Thursday, February 24th. But that's where we began our Saturday, the 26th, as Oloc and Taw rejoined me on this Saturday morning, and we started the adventure from there. Saturday, February 26th, we started with Taw and Oloc. They just defeated the rug of smothering, and as they're trying to collect themselves, they start to hear harp music off in their room, and someone's going to come check on them. And so I give them each an action, and really quickly they turn themselves invisible again. And just as they do, this guy that they recognize in robes and not much else opens the door and takes a look and sees nothing, and doesn't even notice that the rug's kind of disheveled, as he's called back to by a female voice that they're working on their nails, getting their nails ready for the next day. And so we move on from there. We go to They climb the stairs to the next room, and they open the room, and it smells of cats and kitty litter. As there's three, they open the door, and a cat that Oloc recognizes, not Oloc, Katoto recognizes as one he had let go in Strahd's room, runs up the stairs and into the room, as it's a room full of cats. And then from there, they go into the next room, and the next room is a witch's study. Yeah. So in here, they take a look around. They got some tables full of wizardy stuff and witchy brew and witch components. They take a look outside to get their bearings, and they ultimately open up this next room. Oloc does collect his cat again, and they take a peek outside the window, and they see where they're at. And I tell them approximately where I think they are. We make a couple guesses, and I don't think I was right the first time. Ultimately, they open this next room, and I say there's a horrid smell in there, but they open it anyway, and they check it out, and there seems to be... Oh, I roll on the chaos table again, the fate table. And they open this door, and they find a cauldron. They find a cauldron, and it's on some sort of sigil that's heating it. And they decide not to mess with that. And decide to move on. And they go up the stairs to a rooftop, and on this rooftop, it's full of skeletons. And they kind of go out there to take another gander at where they're at, but eventually, yeah. So we figure out it's that this tower roof right here, this bigger one, the lower one, and then they turn around the corner and they see this bulbous, glowing heart floating in the middle of a spiral staircase. Not on a floor, but actually literally floating. Huge, 10 foot by 10 foot bulbous heart, fleshy, pulsing. And that kind of creeps them out. Not enough, though, to stop them from heading toward it. They head toward the heart and... go up the stairs, and as they climb the stairs, I described that on the walls there's these swords and halberds with names of warriors and their deeds. As they climb the stairs up to the tower peak. At the tower peak, they find another brazier, teleportation brazier, and a torture rack, and a chest. They try to pick a lock, but they're not successful, and they decide not to spend much time on it. And then they go forward, and they notice the ladder. Oh, that jumps too far. They notice the ladder as they go to the ceiling. They go up through the trapdoor, and there's more skeletons up there. And they take a peek where they're at, and then they decide, that's enough of that. We're going to go back down, and they start going down the spiral staircase, and they come to a floor, and there's a big landing, and they look down the hall, and there's alcoves with people in horrid states, and they decide, we're not going down that hallway. And they look over some battlements, and they see that all these offshoots, all of the spiral staircase, are full of skeletons. As they do floor after floor after floor, is just more of these skeletons. Finally, they get to the basement, a sub-level, and at the sub-level, they call this the King's Quarter. There seems to be places for people to sleep, and they go in here, and they are investigating. Finally, come to this room. They open the door, and there's Rahadin, and Rahadin has exceedingly good perception and raises an eyebrow, and he knows somebody there, and he knows they're invisible. As he walks forward and catches them with his deathly choir as the spell. It's not really a spell, but anyone within 10 feet of him hears the cries of the screams of thousands of people that he's killed, and they each take some damage. But thankfully, Oloc passes his concentration spell, and they stay invisible, which is probably the only thing that saved them as Rahadin starts to pursue them. And as my thing says, the chase is on. as Rahadin walks very quickly, does not dash, as opposed to the other two that do dash. They do dash, and they get ahead of him. They stay ahead of him, but as Rahadin pursues them up the spiral staircase, Rahadin has some skeletons that joins his pursuit, and eventually, they get to the top of the tower, and they activate the teleportation just as skeletons and Rahadin catch up to them, and they go up to the rooftop. Oloc and Taw, get to the rooftop, and Katota casts a flying spell on the two of them, and they fly off. Now, as they fly off, a skeleton does get a pot shot off and does wing Katota, but he's okay enough to fly off, and Katota and Oloc see gargoyles animate and start to pursue until they become invisible. And so after a while of flight, they have a certain amount of flight, and they make it to the main road outside of Castle Ravenloft, this main road, and they land there and they walk into Vallaki. They go to Vallaki and they go to the Blue Water Inn. They go to the Blue Water Inn and inquire of the rest of the party with Danica at the Blue Water Inn. And Danica asks, what's going on? What have you been doing? Katota, you don't look so good. And they talk for a little bit before she tells them that Varinka and Irina are at the Burgomaster's mansion and getting help with a dress. So with that, we ended the night. We ended the night with Oloc and Taw at the Burgomaster, catching up with Irina and Varinka. Yeah, so that last 15 minutes of this morning's time together, Wes, Ken, and I had a nice little chat about Dungeons and Dragons and how should I handle a massive confrontation where the party has gained allies with the Dark Elves, the Druids, and the Keepers of the Feather. And how should I coordinate in a meaningful way such that they feel like they were valuable, those extra parties, that their efforts to gather them and recruit them was valuable and contribute to the overall accomplishment of their goals. At the same time, keep the sanctity of, the group are the heroes, and they're doing the majority of the work, and they're the ones that, ultimately win the day. So we talk about that, and we talk about some of our philosophies on design of a game and how I'm enjoying these new tools. So it was a nice way to end the conversation. Now, with that, that's where we ended. And at least now, when we get back together on Thursday, we should be able to have one party, one group, and adventure together instead of all these splinter cells doing their own thing. So thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. And if you don't mind, hit the like and subscribe if you haven't before. And until next time, take care.